It's this place in history with the Vermont Historical Society. Steve Perkins, where are we today?
We are at Ethan Allen Park next to the Ethan Allen Tower in Burlington.
What happened here?
Well, as the name implies, Ethan Allen lived here. This goes back to that grand time at the end of the 19th century where you started putting up towers where everybody lived. George Washington lived here, Abraham Lincoln lived here. Well, Ethan Allen lived here. So from 1887 to 1889, 2 short years, he had a farm right on the Intervale here in Burlington.
Well, you put up a tower to get a good view. Let's go get a good view.
Absolutely. Let's go to the top.
So, wow, these views are incredible. Steve, what else can you tell us?
Well, I know I say look at these views and think of them without any houses, because that's how Ethan Allen would have seen them. He was one of the first people to build out here in this North End of Burlington. I mean, it really was the middle of nowhere. Only a few hundred people living in Burlington at the time. So, built a small farm in 1887 with his second wife, Fanny Allen. And unfortunately, 2 years later, he was crossing the ice from South Hero, which is behind us, to come back to his farm in February. And he got sick. I mean, he died like a couple days later. I'm not exactly sure, what he had, but he was only 52 years old. Well, Ethan Allen, we all think of furniture, right? But this guy is a major figure in the history of Vermont. Led the Green Mountain Boys. We always like to envision him at Fort Ticonderoga, right? He took it without firing a shot, and he stood up there. And of course, he said, "In the name of the great Jehovah and the Continental Congress, I take this fort." And he took it without firing a shot. All the cannon from Fort Ticonderoga then went down and relieved the siege of Boston. So very important person. He ended up being captured. He stayed in Montreal for much of the Revolution as a prisoner of war, but came back to Vermont as a philosopher, an orator, a self-proclaimed lawyer, mostly living in Bennington, but last 2 years of his life right here in Burlington. And of course, what was possibly his house is now the Ethan Allen Homestead, and you can visit that today.